Ayubowan. Irida Ayubowan වැඩසටහනේ අද මම ශරෝන් එකතු වෙලා ඉන්නේ සුවිශේෂී වැඩසටහනකට. ඒක ඇවිල්ලා සමිතය කිව්වා වගේ සංගීතය පැත්තෙන් තමයි අද අපි හුඟක් ගැඹුරු විදියට කතා කරන්නේ. Violin instrument, we worship it, we praise on it, and every time when a music is heard ඒකේ ලස්සන ඉතා වෙන විදියකට යනවා. හැබැයි ඒකේ ගුරුවරු සමග අද කතා බහ කරන්න තමයි අපි ලෑස්ති වෙන්නේ. The relationship between India and Sri Lanka is something so strong culturally, food, the kind of connections that we have. It's a beautiful history that comes from time. ඉතිහාසයේ ඉඳන් සංස්කෘතිය කෑම නොඑක් ආකාරයේ හුඟක් දේවල් එක හා සමානයි. ඒත් එක්කම සංගීතයත් එහෙමයි. ඒ සංගීතයත් සමග අපි අද කතා කරන්න යන්නේ විශේෂී ප්‍රභූවරයෙක් සමග and ඔහු කරපු දේවල් සහ ඉස්සරහට කරන්න තියෙන දේවල් ගැන තමයි අපි අද ඉරිදා අයුබෝවන් වැඩසටහන සමග අපි කතා බහ කරන්නේ. අද අපි සමග එකතු වෙලා ඉන්නේ. Today joining us on our show is the godfather of Indian violin. I've had the pleasure of hosting one of his concerts a few years back in 2018 as well. Padma Bhushan Dr. L. Subramaniam. Ayubowan, vanakkam and welcome to our program.
Ayubowan, vanakkam. Pleasure to be here.
Absolute honor to have you on our show. And we're also joined by Madam Padma Sri Kavita Krishnamurthy Subramaniam, the living legend and the melody queen who has sung more than 25,000 songs within the past 54 years. So a record-breaking item or, you know, love, I would say, but welcome to our show.
Thank you. Ayubowan to you too.
Ayubowan to you
I love that word.
And මේ ඔක්කොම කරන්න අපිට හුඟක් දායකත්වය දෙන්නේ අර කොනේ ඉන්න කෞශල්‍ය මාත්මය. හැමතිස්සෙම කවුරු හරි මොකක් හරි ඉවෙන්ට් එකක් වෙනවා නම් එක්ස්ක්ලූසිවිටි එක ජාතික රූපවාහිනියට ගෙනල්ලා දෙන්නේ අන්න ඇය සහ ඉන්දියානු එම්බසි එකත් සමග හුඟක් වෙලාවට අපි සම්බන්ධ වෙනවා. So we like to say a very special thank you to the Bollywood film distributor, producer and show organizer Kaushalya Wickramasinghe.
Ayubowan. Ayubowan.
බොහොම ස්තුතියි අද ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම් එකට ආවට. ගිය සතියේ යාපනයේ the University of Jaffna together with another university, there was a very special launch in their library. Music කියන දේ we have to protect it, preserve it and take it to different generations. That's how I believe it. But I know there has been a storming culture of people watching over YouTube, maybe on TikTok, and then following and getting that art. But you have to learn the aesthetics and the history of that music. And that's why we have our legends who have joined us here with the initiation of launching a particular section for visual arts and especially in violin music to make sure that we have the books and the audio clips and all of this and much more in those libraries. So we're here to speak to Dr. Subramaniam in detail about these books and the whole initiation or the concept behind it, and we know that it all started with your father.
Yes.
Tell us about it, sir.
You know, 1930, between 35 and 38, my father was in Jaffna as a visiting professor. Then he worked in Jaffna College, Ramanathan College, as a music professor there, where we found a lot of interest, a lot of similarity between our art and culture. And of course, it's a beautiful country and a beautiful place. So he started coming here and he lived here for a while. At that time, there were a lot of people who were trained on music, but the two things which were very, very prominent was the dance culture, because a lot of people used to go to the Kala Kshetra of Rukmani Arundelji and they used to get trained there. Then they used to have fantastic Nadaswaram and Tawul musicians here in Sri Lanka. Some of the Tawul players were very, very famous. Even in India they used to come and play. Then the other form of concerts like flute, veena, vocal, everything was not that prominent at that time. So he started inviting artists. Some of the artists who came include T.R. Mahalingam, probably the greatest flute player. Then we had Maharajapuram Vishwanatha here and different Rajamanikam Pillai on the violin. So he used to bring a lot of people and started performing with the local Sri Lankan students who started learning from him. So the concert format of creating a lot of things happened at that time. Then 1953 went back and came back. 1953 we came back after that. In between he went back to India. Then he worked on Ceylon radio. He was in charge of the program head, and also he created an ensemble where they regularly started broadcasting music, Tyagaraja, Dikshatar, Shama Sastri in different format. So my attachment to Sri Lanka started because of my father from that time. After he passed away, I mean, we started a festival, Lakshmanarana Global Music Festival, which is almost now 33 years. So I wanted to do something in his memory. So I said, well, we will donate some books. I have an extensive collection of video, audio material from not only on Indian music, but the global music from Western orchestras, some of the greatest Western artists, jazz artists. So all those things I wanted to share it and create a space under his name, Lakshmanarana Corner Center in Jaffna and also in Colombo. So we started the process. We brought some books, we brought some CDs and things like that. So slowly we will start coming regularly, and also our Indian High Commission mentioned that they have created a cultural center in Jaffna with a multi-story building, which we saw that place also. There also they are trying to establish a lot of cultural activities and promote Indian culture, give scholarships and help people to get trained in India and things like that. So the process has started, and we are also will start coming more regularly to give workshops and master classes and donate more books and video, audio material, digital material. Nowadays, it's all digital format.
I know.
It's easy to carry thousands of hours of music and video in a little hard disk. So we're planning that.
And it's beautiful, isn't it? Like we're going back in time, and now we are repeating history, and ensuring that the new generation also gets to learn that ethics. Can I also quickly ask, your daughter is here. I've seen the granddaughter perform as well in a concert. When you were watching your dad perform, was it, okay, I want to be like him? What was that reaction? Because I'm going to ask her the same.
My whole coming to music was because of my father. When I was 2 years old or something like that, I believe I had diphtheria. He wanted me to sing because my elder brother, Vaidyanathan, used to play beautifully. He was a fantastic violinist. My sisters, Draganaki and Subbalakshmi, Ganam, they all used to sing. So he said there are too many violinists. He was playing violin, my elder brother was playing violin. He wanted me to sing. But then I wanted to be like him. I was really in awe of him. So, but then I had diphtheria, fortunately. So somebody told him I'll lose my voice, so better to put him in some other instrument. So I started playing a little bit of harmonium, a little bit of Rishraj, a little bit of Mridangam. But always I wanted to play the violin. So he started teaching me the violin. Then when we went back in 1958, then he said his dream was basically to transform the Indian violin, instead of being a backup accompanying instrument, globally accepted solo instrument. So all the technical development which he worked on, his own original technique, was developed in Sri Lanka.
Oh, wow.
Sitting in Jaffna, he was creating a lot of multiple techniques. So he worked on all those things and he taught his children. So when we went back to India in 1958, he said, let us start a solo career exclusively instead of just accompanying, because he saw the Western, some of the greatest violinists, Menuhin or Grappelli or big orchestras, the violin is treated as a solo instrument. Whereas in India, it was mainly an accompanying instrument. Once in a blue moon somebody played once or twice. And outside India, they thought it was ethnic folk music being played sitting on the floor. They never accepted this as a classical format. If you see, whenever they talk about classical music, they said Occidental music, Western classical music was the only classical music. Everything else was basically, under one carpet world music, whether it is in India or other places. We have folk music tradition, we have bhajans, ghazals and classical Bollywood. So everything was under one carpet. So his dream was to make people realize it's not ethnic music or folk music, but classical music. So we developed a lot of technique. So my dream was to become like him. So when naturally they wanted me to study, everybody said I went to medical college. Then after finishing, I came back to music because of him.
Kavita,
Yes.
what was it like? Now,
You know, when I married him, I must tell you something. I really thought that, oh, will he listen to my Nimbuda? Will he listen to my Tu cheez badi hai mast mast? So the very first festival that happened in the memory of his father, and there was some international artist. I went up on stage. I said, I call him LS. You know, I said, LS, what should I sing? He said, can you sing Nimbuda? That day I decided I'd married the right person.
what's the music like at home?
Well, it's an amazing feeling because when my children were small, now they've grown up, they're married, they live 5 minutes away from me. Earlier we're all at home, and you would find different kinds of practices going on. He would be practicing the violin, and he would teach my younger son how to play the violin. So sometimes they are playing there, and I would be trying to do my Bollywood songs and my Vistar and my Paltas in one room. And my daughter was very much into songwriting and English songwriting, and she's very fond of Mariah Carey and singers of that generation. So she would be trying to sing her own songs or sing these songs, or she liked jazz. So somebody who doesn't understand music would have thought that he's walked into a crazy place, because each room had different kind of music coming. But that's what has been the binding thread for all of us. Music, it's kept all of us together, because everybody at home is so passionate. Even my other son, who's a surgeon now, he's a cancer surgeon, he's an oncologist, but he used to sing and he used to play the violin too. So everybody at home is involved with music, and I think, like people say, when you eat together, you pray together, you stay together. But in our case, we do music together and we stay together.
And have you sort of understood where people would approach you saying, pop songs, can I mix it with a little bit of your ballad? What was your response to it now?
Nothing. I think now I know because the whole world is small because of YouTube, and you see so much of fusion, and you see like our songs taken and the rap has been put into it. I think it's very nice, because younger generation, because of this facility of internet and YouTube, is very creative, and each one of them, they don't want to sound like anybody else. They want to have their own individuality, which I always think is a good thing to strive for in life.
We're going to 83 to show you.
Oh, okay.
To show you her voice. Let's see.
बचपन की मोहब्बत को दिल से न जुदा करना, जब याद मेरे आए मिलने की दुआ करना। बचपन की मोहब्बत को दिल से न जुदा करना, जब
How does it feel?
Yeah, what a lovely memory I have of my concert with Mr. Mannade. Then thank you for playing that for me, really. Thank you so much.
And thank you for being at Rupavahini so that we can show you, because this houses the many stars that have arrived here.
Yes, I'm sure.
And it has a library of its own from people from yesterday. So hopefully one day when your granddaughter appears on our show, we can show you off.
Yeah, I would call this place a Punya Bhumi.
Yeah,
Punya Bhumi
thank you.
because it's got the footsteps of so many great people.
Can we elaborate a little bit about the items which you are planning to donate to the library? Because these are also very huge, monumental history, and it's art that is going to be shared. And it's very rare that students today would be looking in awe to learn from gurus who has these publications or volumes or documents or something where they can refer back. Because it's not just about learning the skill, it's about gaining the qualification as well.
Yeah. Well, most of the classical work in music has been, of course, done by my husband, and he has written fabulous books on playing the varnams, which is the basic in Carnatic classical music, and he's done it in different languages, South Indian languages, and the Western notation also. So people here can read the Western notation and play a varnam in 4 speeds, 5 speeds, which I think brings full control to what you want to play, you know, as an instrument or even the vocal. When you do a piece in 4, 5 speeds, you're absolutely gaining control in tala and the form. And in my case, what I would personally like to do is create a few workshops of how to sing light music, how to enunciate words in song, because I feel for somebody like me, I've been singing songs for so many years from different music directors. It's to understand what that particular music director wants in a song.
Absolutely.
Because every song should not be colored by my personality. It should have the interpretation of the music director. And I think words convey a lot. So it's very important to know in a song which word has to be emphasized a little more than the others. So it brings about the feeling, and which can be maybe just made a little more slur. So these kind of things which I've gathered through experience of having sung with many different places, at any point of time I would be very happy to share it with children across the world, children in India and children here too who want to learn. It could be a singular song, why not? It's their own language, but it's just that how do you approach a higher note? How to increase your range? These things.
I think the learning art of ethics, anybody can learn on their own, but if there is a guide,
yes,
that's
absolutely
what makes it more cemented.
Yes, for in our lives also, it's the gurus, the gurus we have learned from, they have inspired us. You know, they've taught us something and have gone home thinking that, oh, I must really work harder than this. When you meet somebody who has achieved something, it really inspires you. You're absolutely right about that.
Very proud to have you and to share these insights, because this is what's missing, that we learn from someone without just going ad hoc and trying to do our own thing. Kaushalya, do you ever get a break? It's a back-to-back schedule, isn't it? You're always on the run. Hamatissema, Kaurari, සංගීතවරයෙක් නැත්නම් ඇක්ටර් කෙනෙක් නැත්නම් මොකක් හරි ෆිල්ම් එකක් හරි මොකක් හරි එකක් එනකොට always on the go, bringing something to Sri Lanka, because we have very fond of our audience who loves Bollywood, Hollywood, you name it, all that entertainment. මේක සම්පූර්ණයෙන් වෙනස් සාමාන්‍ය events වලින් බලන්න ගියාම මොකක්ද ඔබගේ අදහස්?
අදහස ඒක රාගධාරී සංගීත පසුබිමක හැදිච්ච කෙනෙක් මම සංගීතඥයෙක් විදියට මම හිටියා අදටත් එහෙමයි. නමුත් වෘත්තියෙන් ඉතින් අපි බොලිවුඩ් චිත්‍රපට ශාස්ත්‍රයත් එක්ක නියැලීලා සිටිනවා. ඉතින් මට මේ ආචාර්ය එල් සුබ්‍රමණියම් මැතිතුමා මේ ගැන අදහස දැක්වුවා මේ විදියට ලංකාවේ තමන්ගේ පියාගේ මහාචාර්ය වී ලක්ෂ්මීනාරායන ලයිබ්‍රරි එක පටන් ගන්න අවශ්‍යයි කියන එක. ඉතින් අපි මේක කතා කරන්න පටන් ගන්න අවුරුද්දක් වගේ. ඒ අනුව තමයි මම ආරාධනා කෙරුවේ ලංකාවට එන්න කියලා. මේ මැතිනියට අපේ කවිතා ක්‍රිෂ්ණමූර්ති මැඩම්ට ඒ වගේම සර්ටත් ඇවිල්ලා මේකට මේ සම්බන්ධ වෙන්න. ඒ අනුව මම ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන්ම විශ්වවිද්‍යාල උපකුලපතිවරුන්ට මම මේ සම්බන්ධව ලිඛිතව දැන්නුවා. විශේෂයෙන්ම මේ ගැන අපිට විශේෂයෙන් අපි කතා කරන්න ඕන සෞන්දර්ය කලා විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයේ උපකුලපති මහාචාර්ය නෙත්සිංහ මහත්මයා ඒ වගේම ජෆ්නා විශ්වවිද්‍යාලය උපකුලපති ඒ වගේම පේරාදෙණිය විශ්වවිද්‍යාලය අපි next year එක open කරනවා. ඒ අනුව තමයි ආරාධනාව පිළි අරගෙන ශ්‍රී ලංකාවට ආවේ.
දැන් කවිතා මේක හුඟක් ස්ටේජස් වලින් යනවා අපි නේද? අපි මාර්ච් වලටත් මොකක් හරි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
මාර්ච් වල මැඩම් දැන් මැඩම්ගේ ෂෝ එක අපි කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා මැඩම්ස් බියොන්ඩ් බොලිවුඩ් කියලා. මැඩම්ස් දෙන්නම මේකේ ගායනය සහ වාදනය ඒක ජාත්‍යන්තර මට්ටමේ ඉන්ටර්නැෂනල් ෂෝ එකක්. අපි මාර්තු 15 15th of May තමයි මැඩම් දිනේ දීලා තියෙන්නේ. මාර්තු 15 අපි ලංකාවේ එම සංගීත ප්‍රසංගය විශාල කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
Right. Dr. Subramaniam, something of yours?
Okay.
We like to show you something of yours.
Okay.
Let's have a look.
Thank you.
It's in one stage, and I love the fact that that one point of making the instrument being the highlight or the center of the stage without being an accompanying instrument definitely brings the wow factor of an entire show, of keeping all the strings and the music together. Must be hard working with different generations there.
Yeah, I think this particular, I'm happy you played this clipping because this particular composition was written for my father. At that time,
It's called Don't Leave Me.
a piece called Don't Leave Me. He had health issues and doctors predicted a little bit of shady grey predictions. So at that time, I was working on an album with one of the greatest violinists, Stefan Grappelli. Conversation was the album. We did that album and I dedicated this piece to my father. It was almost 40 years since I did it. It was 85. Now, for that album was selected one of the best at that time, the top of the 100 CDs and things. Since that piece has been played by different generations. Recently, I mean last year or so when Mr. Rahman heard that, we decided to do this piece, the same Don't Leave Me. I was happy to see after 40 years, still that piece was being done.
Relevant,
But it's so much I was happy because it was about, I mean, for my father and remembering my father after all these years.
Yeah, that was brilliant. Kavita, now I know people heard your voice on TV, but I think they are also expecting දැන් කොහොමද දන්නේ සින්දුවක් කිව්වොත්, meaning how will you sound like when you sing?
Yeah.
So
Oh God.
there is a microphone.
I know, it's so many years since you heard that, right?
But you can sing any of your favorites, that's all right.
Okay, I can't say no to you. I'll sing a line of a song which really lives in my heart because it's the first Filmfare award I got for this song. Was from a film called Love Story 1942, composed by R.D. Burman and lyrics written by Javed Akhtar Saab.
चुपके से दिल ने कहा, चुपके से क्यों नए लग रहे हैं ये धरती गगन। मैंने पूछा तो बोली ये पगली पवन, प्यार हुआ चुपके से, ये क्या हुआ चुपके से।
I think you've blown the entire studio here, that everyone's mouths are open up, and I believe the voice when you hear inside a studio is somewhat different. So I'm blessed to hear this, and thank you for singing that to our audience. It's just, did you do some voice training early morning and come to get the pitching so perfect or something like that? Singing as a global music festival can be rather challenging, and that's a lot of artists, mixers of different cultures and all of that. Tell me what it's like placing Carnatic music in that global stage.
I think Carnatic music is one of the most strongest traditions of music, and once you have really learnt Carnatic music very well, there's not a single stage in this world where you'll be scared to stand, because the improvisational techniques are phenomenal. And then because you also learn your notations very well, you know where you are. And somehow for Carnatic musicians to work with jazz musicians is not difficult at all. They can really adapt themselves to, that's why you see so much fusion happening. Of course, he's a pioneer in this field, because I would say he's a pioneer in so many fields. The first North and South Jugalbandi that happened, we hear about artists from the South playing with the North. The very first Jugalbandi was also done by him. He played with Ustad Ali Akbar Khan Sahab right in, I think, mid-80s. And subsequently doing fusion with jazz artists, which is all, if you notice, all his compositions are Carnatic music and presented with jazz artists, writing for orchestras, the very first symphony orchestra which an Indian has ever written fully every note. So he's been a pioneer in doing so many things, and I think it's because he has understood and learnt Western classical music, but his grounding is firmly entrenched in Carnatic music. I'm very, very proud of our Indian classical traditions, Carnatic music, as well as North Indian classical tradition. I think we have one of the best classical traditions in the world, because it opens up your mind. You take 7 notes, you take 5 notes, and you can perform for 45 minutes with one raga, even just an alap, which is no percussion. And believe me, if you keep on repeating yourself, audience is going to be bored.
Yeah.
So the amount of permutation combinations you think of, it's fantastic.
I know it speaks of richness in the music world and also speaks of hunger, of learning. We only spoke of Jaffna launching there, and we also touched a bit in Colombo. Are we looking at expanding in other areas, or because students will be like, apitat ennone, apitat talent එක තියෙනවා, meaning they have talent, they'll be moving, how do we reach out? I think this is what's running on their mind now.
The head of the center has to tell you this.
You know, we believe in sharing the culture, because it gives a lot of happiness. We have selected this profession by God's grace, and we are doing something which we love to do, playing or writing books on India, because the documentation is one of the things which was not there for Indian music in the past compared to the West. So there were a lot of things were in the dark, so people misunderstood or understood in a different way than what. So there's a lot of documentation. We have started doing it. And also, when you talk about digital library, it is not enough to know only about your own music.
Correct.
You have to know about the global music, so that if you, nowadays nobody thinks, oh, I want to be a great artist only in my own area, Colombo or Jaffna or something. You have to be an artist who is recognized, and you can contribute for the growth of our art form by innovations. And for that you also know the other, you should know the other side, and you should also share your thing. So now a lot of digital platform is there. So we have collected hundreds of hours of a lot of music and things which we want to share it, and people who are interested in learning, they can apply directly to the Lakshminarayana Global Center of Excellence. We have limited scholarships, which we will be happy to. Every year we want to give it to people from Sri Lanka. In fact, in the past there are 4 Sri Lankan students who were given scholarship. They came and did bachelor's degree. They finished bachelor's. 3 of them finished it. In one of those bachelor degrees, student is coming back to do MA this year for 2 years. So we want to select very talented, extremely talented people who are passionate about continuing, because many times people come just to take a piece of paper and then they do something else.
Absolutely.
Then they kind of waste that opportunity for somebody else, because there are always limitations in number of scholarship, number of spaces. Another thing also which will help people who want to apply and come to learn, if they are good in English, because many of the
some
exams
language of communication, like
communication
English,
is
probably.
important.
That's good that
Because they
you
have
gave
to
it.
write their theses.
Okay.
So they must, if they want to come, if they're planning to come and they want to get the scholarship, it's better they also start focusing on learning at least English.
Okay.
Because they have to write the
They
exam
have to write the
papers.
theses in English there.
Because it's good in only their own local languages,
Yeah.
whether Tamil or Sri
When they come
Lanka.
to India to communicate with, even Tamilians or Kannadigas or North Indians, English is a safe medium. You can communicate with anybody
Because the
there.
exams are all theory paper exams
Theory
in
papers
English.
are all in English.
Correct. And it's also
Yeah.
important having
Yeah,
this
yeah,
paper
they must
qualification
learn,
in
yes,
hand,
yeah.
not just about learning the skill and not taking the
And
exam in
also,
place.
I also feel as a musician, if they, it's wonderful to make a name for themselves in Sri Lanka, but if they can also go out of this country and make a name for themselves internationally, it will be great. And for that, they must have one language of communication all over the world. And English for me seems like the most feasible language to approach.
Because most of the
Yeah.
exams are all in
Or in
English.
English,
Correct.
everywhere.
So
Even if they
they're-
want to
That's
do
worldwide.
Western music, Trinity
Yeah.
or whatever, it's all
Yeah.
English.
Yeah.
And another thing which we would like people who get the scholarship and come and work there, or study for 2 years, should come back
Definitely.
and train the other people, because
Yeah.
many times they go get a scholarship, get the qualification, BA or MA, then they don't train anybody else, go and do something else. If they can commit themselves to coming back, either to Colombo or Jaffna, and be part of the university and train the next generation, at least for a limited period of time, then they will be giving back to the society and help grow the culture which was in between lost, to bring it back to the full-fledged. It was one of the very strong places for music and culture and dance and everything like that.
Absolutely.
So
And also,
they should come back and at least work for a limited time
correct.
to train other people.
And also to mix with our cultural music and bring in that essence,
Yes,
isn't it?
absolutely. That
Yeah.
will be amazing,
Where-
actually.
Yeah. And that's where people tend to memorize songs from
Yeah.
India and Sri Lanka.
Yeah, and you
a
must be
mix.
having fabulous folk songs and
Yeah.
fabulous songs
Yeah,
of the earth
yeah,
here.
yeah.
To be able to make it international, it's just that will be a dream
Yeah.
come true for all the youngsters.
Right.
Yes.
And when we came last time, when you were there,
Yes.
my granddaughter sang a Sri Lankan
Correct.
song.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
She sang that. Yeah. කෞශල් මහත්මිය අපිට තව විනාඩි කිහිපයයි තියෙන්නේ. දැන් මේක ඇවිල්ලා හුඟක් ඉගෙනීම පැත්තට සහ කලාව පැත්තට සම්බන්ධ. And you've been involved in different scopes.
Yes.
මේක වෙනස්. මොකද?
මේ මොහොතේ අපි ඇත්තට මේක කාලීන අවශ්‍යතාවයක් විදියට විශේෂයෙන් විශ්වවිද්‍යාල දරදරයන් වෙනුවෙන් මේක කෙරුවේ. මොකද අපි ෂෝස් කරගෙන එනවා අවුරුදු 26ක් මම ඉන්දියාවේ ජීවත් වෙලා චිත්‍රපටි ශාස්ත්‍රයේදී වගේ අපි කරනවා. ඉතින් නමුත් මේක විශේෂයෙන්ම රට වෙනුවෙන් රටට දායාදයක් විදියට දරුවෝ විශ්වවිද්‍යාල දරුවන් වෙනුවෙන් කරපු අපි පරිත්‍යාගයක් කියලා කියන්න පුළුවන්. ඉතින් මේ ශිෂ්‍යත්ව ගැන දැන් ස්කෝලර්ෂිප්ස් ගැන කතා කරා සර්. ඒක දිගටම අපි කරගෙන යනවා. ඒ වගේම තව දුරටත් දැන් පේරාදෙණිය විශ්වවිද්‍යාල ලබන අවුරුද්දේ ඊට අමතර තව විශ්වවිද්‍යාල අපිට ආරාධනාවක් කෙරුවොත් අපි බොහොම කැමැත්තෙන් මේ පුස්තකාලය පරිත්‍යාග කරන්න කැමැත්තක් තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම මියුසික් සර්ගේ කම්පොසිෂන්ස් ඊට අමතර බුක්ස් ඒ හැම දෙයක්ම අපි ඩොනේට් කරනවා. ඒක අපි දිගට කරගෙන යනවා.
Thank you. ඇයි රූපවාහිනියට ආවේ?
රූපවාහිනිය කියන එක මේක ඉතින් අවුරුදු ගාණක් තිස්සේ අපි බොහොම ආදරය කරන හැම වෙලේම අපිට විශේෂයෙන් මට මාව සමාජගත කරපු නාලිකාව කියන්න පුළුවන් මට කලාකාරණියක් විදියට සංගීතඥයෙක් විදියට කතිකාචාර්යවරියක් විදියට. ඉතින් මගේ ඩොක්ටර් අම්බි සුබ්‍රමණියම් අපේ මේ මෙතුමියගේ සර්ගේ පුතා ලංකාවට ආපු වෙලේ රූපවාහිනියේ the same channel we had an interview when Dr. Ambi was here.
Oh, really?
The same channel. She only did the same interview. And also අපේ Subramania, Dr. Bindu and Dr. Ambi, daughter and son, they were here June 27. They have helped a lot, the national channel. I think Rupavahini have a mohatak, always national channel is with us. So we must honor national channel.
And thank you for being with us in our
especially
journey for reaching out to
the chairman, Dr. Senesh Bandar Disanayake වගේම නිලාර් කාසිම් මහත්මයා, රංග ප්‍රේමරත්න මහතා ඇතුළු සියලුම කාර්ය මණ්ඩලයට මම විශේෂයෙන් උපහාරය දක්වනවා මේ මොහොතේ.
And I'd like to say that both of us are very grateful to Kaushalya for supporting our dreams to try to make this a center.
And somebody has to be there to bridge
yes,
everyone
and
together, isn't
and
it?
to bridge
Yeah.
this, and she has been a great help.
Thank you. So we thank Kaushalya Wickramasinghe for bringing them both together, and then we also say thank you to Dr. L. Subramaniam, and thank you to Sri Kavitha Krishnamurthy Subramaniam. Thank you for joining us on our show.
Thank you
I
so
know
much.
it's very limited time, but I think we brought the essence of it. There has been number of callers coming to the national channel saying, get her to sing another song. This is a very normal thing, but I think you just blew our audience. So while we wish you a very pleasant Sunday, බොහොම ස්තුතියි අද වැඩසටහන සම්බන්ධ වුණාට. අපි ආරාධනා කරනවා ගීතයකින් අවසන් කරමු කියලා.
Okay, Kaushalya has been telling me to sing Hum Dil Bech Chuke Sanam. I won't sing the noisy song from that because it's still morning. I'll sing the more gentler song from there.
तेरी यादों के साए में गुजरेगी ये जिंदगी उस खुदा के बाद तो पूजा होगी बस तेरी चाहे जो मांग लो सब तुम्हारा है चाहे जो मांग लो सब तुम्हारा